Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Andy. Thanks to the rest of the Varsity Club staff for this wonderful evening. Congrats to the other inductees, of course. It's fun to get together like this. Actually, it was my senior year. I went to Bob Glatz, and I was probably the last guy on campus without a cell phone. And I needed a job to pay the bill because I had asked my parents maybe, hey, can you help me out here? And in fairness to them, they had funded pretty much everything else in my life until that point, including my 6 nights a week trips to Pinocchio's. And so they said that the cell phone, it's frivolous, that one's on you. So I went to Bob and asked him if he had any positions available in the Varsity Club, and he was kind enough to give me a job there for a few hours a week, just enough to pay the bill. It was things that I was uniquely qualified for, like licking stamps and other similar tasks. But I was grateful for the opportunity, and obviously grateful for the many opportunities that Harvard has given me over the many years, so including tonight. So thanks to the Varsity Club for that and for this as well. Looking back, at the time at Harvard, there's lots of memories that come up, of course, but obviously for me, one of the most special memories is my freshman year playing with my 2 brothers. We had never to that point played on the same team at the same time. I had played with my brother Steve in juniors, and Steve had played with Mark in juniors, but never had all 3 of us been on the same team at the same time. So that was a very special year for our whole family, especially for my parents. To come to watch one game and see all 3 of us play, sharing the same ice. Those pictures that we have on the mantle are cherished, and especially, in that crimson uniform. So I learned a lot from my brothers. Of course, I got to play 2 years with Steve. It was, extra special year. His senior year, we got to play a lot of minutes together, and lots of memories from that, as well as great memories from that year as well with Tim Stay and Oliver Jonas, 2 of my lifelong best friends who are here tonight. Those are the moments you cherish, and we're fortunate enough to continue those as well. Oh, by the way, I wanted to quickly mention Benji Alford, who is here tonight, and Dean Alford is an incredible human being, and he's kind of the father of Harvard hockey program. He's been around for so many years mentoring the players, and incredibly gracious, kind words there. Not sure most of them were very accurate, but back to some of those Harvard memories. The best thing is that I've never really had to leave campus. Many of you know I've basically lived in Cambridge in the summers since graduation, which has been great because it's allowed me to stay close to this community. Many of you that are here tonight, I've been able to continue those strong bonds with, and that's been really special for me. One of the places that people that are in the area often find me is Harvard Stadium. It's a very special place to me. It's a symbol for me, but it's also a place where I do some of my best training. I love running the stairs at the stadium. It's the hardest thing, I tell people it's the hardest thing I do, but it's also the best thing I do. Every time you do the stadium steps, there's 37 sections. Every time you do the stadium, there's a point at which you think you can't make it. So usually for me, that's around, the 6th or 7th section. And you've still got a long way to go. And so you're talking yourself out of it. And so to me, it's a real test of 4 things. The first is your spirit. The second is your will. The third is your belief that you can do it. And the last is your focus. And the focus is extremely important, because if you look ahead, you'll be demoralized. And so all you should do is basically stay in the moment and just keep running. And so that's been something that has carried me through lots of challenges in my career, and the stadium is a good symbol of that. I think of challenges in my hockey career, and there's one that comes to mind that happened really early on, basically before I began my career. It was my third year pro. I had played my first year out of college a little bit in the NHL, not much, mostly in the minor leagues. And then the season after that, there was a lockout or a labor dispute, and there was no NHL. So I played that whole season in the minor leagues. So the next year after that, the NHL was back underway, and this was a big training camp for me. It was basically time to either make the NHL and pursue it as a career, or maybe be destined to be in the minor leagues, and your career could be over soon after that. So I went into camp after running all those stadium steps feeling pretty good. I was in great shape, one of the best trained players at camp for sure. And I ended up having a great camp. All the preseason games, I think I was one of the best players by all the measurable things that you could do on the ice and in the games. And it was basically me and this one other rookie that were vying for one spot. And at the end of camp, what they did was they made two practices, and it was before they kind of made the official cuts, and they separated the two groups where everyone had kind of been intermingled. At the end of camp, they separated into two groups. One was basically the established NHL players, New York Rangers, and the other was the Hartford Wolfpack, which was the farm team, the minor league team. And on this last day of camp, I looked at the posting on the wall, and I was in the Hartford Wolfpack group. And so everyone that looked into it, including that other rookie, he saw he was in the Ranger group, kind of read between the lines that was the final cuts. So I went home that night. I called home, and I was pretty distraught, to say the least. I mean, a lot of people ask if I always knew I was going to play in the NHL, and my answer is always, I never didn't think I would, but this was kind of the one moment where I had my doubts, because I had done, everything that I could have done to make the team, but at the same time, I realized that you could do that, but it's still outside your control. So I realized that, but at the same time, when I went to practice the next day, I wanted to make sure that there was nothing anybody could say that said he deserved to be sent down. So I went to practice, and I tried to just blow it out of the water. Whatever I could do. I was livid, I was upset, it wasn't fair, but I tried to just not give anybody any reason to think that they were right. So after practice, as was planned, they made the final cuts. That other rookie was sent to Hartford, and I began my career with the New York Rangers and never played another day in the minors. And to this day, I don't know if that was a test or if something happened that changed their mind, but these are the kinds of tests of character that you face along the way, and I have a lot of people to thank that have helped me get through those and that have taught me along the way to face those challenges well. No one more so than my parents, of course. So obviously, there's lots of parents in this room, and all of us kids here know how much we've learned from them. They've taught us everything we know. There's lots of things that you face on a daily basis where there's these messages that go through your mind about how to deal with a certain situation, lots of mottos that maybe you were taught as a kid, advice along the way. But I think the one thing that my parents maybe don't realize is how they taught us the most, and that's basically the adversity that they faced and how they handled it is the best example of all. And both of my parents faced tremendous adversity in their life, and without realizing it, that their actions and their behavior were the best life lesson I think I could ever have imagined. And so that has carried me through all these stages of my life and my career. And so very grateful to them for that. I'm grateful to my wife, Mary, for all the support and love that she's given through all these different experiences we've had together. I'm grateful to my family and friends that are here tonight, of course. I'm glad I could be here. I'm a free agent right now, which most people just call unemployed. So my skill set is not necessarily improved, Bob, but if you have any openings, I'm available. But anyway, thanks, guys, and I really appreciate it. Thanks.